The excitement inside the America's Got Talent Theater had reached an unforgettable level long before the next contestant even stepped onto the stage. Thousands of audience members filled every seat, buzzing with anticipation as whispers spread through the room. The lights dimmed until the theater glowed with soft blue and golden beams that danced across the stage. A calm voice from backstage announced a name that immediately sparked curiosity among many viewers. Gary Valenciano, the legendary Filipino performer whose career had inspired generations around the world, slowly emerged from the darkness with a warm smile that reflected decades of experience, passion, and unwavering faith. Dressed in an elegant black suit accented with subtle silver details, Gary walked toward the center of the stage with remarkable confidence, yet his humble demeanor never changed. The audience welcomed him with respectful applause that steadily grew louder as more people recognized the music icon standing before them. Simon Cowell leaned forward with genuine curiosity. Sofia Vergara smiled brightly. Heidi Klum whispered to Mel B that she had heard incredible things about Gary's career, and the entire panel waited eagerly to discover what would happen next. Host Terry Crews greeted him warmly, asking why someone with such an accomplished career would choose to audition for America's biggest talent competition. Gary answered softly that music had always been about touching hearts rather than collecting trophies, and he believed every stage offered another opportunity to inspire people regardless of age or fame. His words immediately created an emotional connection with the audience. The theater fell completely silent as Gary explained that he wanted to dedicate his performance to dreamers who believed their best moments could still lie ahead, no matter how many years had passed. Cameras captured emotional faces throughout the audience, while millions watching from home leaned closer to their screens, sensing they were about to witness something extraordinary. The atmosphere became electric, not because of flashy effects or dramatic music, but because of the quiet confidence of a man who had already conquered countless stages, yet still approached this moment with gratitude and humility. As the first piano notes echoed gently through the theater, Gary closed his eyes for a brief moment, taking one deep breath before delivering the opening lyric. Instantly, the audience recognized they were witnessing something special. His voice carried extraordinary warmth, remarkable control, and emotional honesty that seemed to embrace every person in the room. Each word flowed effortlessly, revealing decades of disciplined artistry and genuine love for music. The orchestra gradually expanded behind him, adding strings, soft percussion, and soaring harmonies that elevated every emotional moment. Instead of relying on vocal tricks or dramatic theatrics, Gary focused on storytelling through every lyric and every expression. His eyes reflected gratitude, hope, and resilience as he sang about overcoming life struggles while believing that light always follows darkness. Viewers could see audience members wiping away tears within the first minute. Simon Cowell remained unusually quiet, his attention completely fixed on the performance without making a single note. Heidi Klum smiled with glistening eyes, while Sofia Vergara placed her hand over her heart. Mel B nodded repeatedly, clearly moved by the sincerity radiating from the stage. As the song progressed, Gary incorporated graceful movements that reminded everyone why he had become one of Asia's greatest entertainers. His signature stage presence transformed the AGT theater into something resembling an intimate concert, where every audience member felt personally included in the story. Every camera angle captured expressions of amazement, while the musicians behind him smiled proudly as they accompanied such an unforgettable artist. The emotional intensity continued building until the final chorus approached with breathtaking momentum. Gary's powerful vocals soared effortlessly above the orchestra, filling every corner of the auditorium with hope, inspiration, and timeless beauty. By this point, nearly every audience member had risen to their feet, clapping along through tears and smiles, realizing they were experiencing a performance destined to become unforgettable. When Gary reached the final sustained note, time itself seemed to stand still. The note rang through the theater with astonishing clarity before fading into complete silence. For several seconds, no one moved. It was as though the entire audience needed a moment to process what they had just experienced. Then, without warning, The silence exploded into thunderous applause, unlike anything heard that season. Thousands of people leaped to their feet, cheering, crying, and applauding with overwhelming admiration. The standing ovation continued for several minutes as chants of Gary, Gary, Gary echoed throughout the theater. Simon Cowell slowly stood up first, applauding with genuine respect before the remaining judges followed immediately. Terry Crews watched proudly from backstage, visibly emotional, as he witnessed one of the greatest moments ever seen on the AGT stage. Gary smiled humbly, placing one hand over his heart while quietly thanking the audience. Tears formed in his eyes as he looked around the theater, clearly overwhelmed by the incredible response. Simon eventually spoke, admitting that he had expected a talented singer, but had not anticipated such a deeply moving performance, capable of transcending generations and cultures. Heidi praised Gary for reminding the world that true artistry comes from authenticity rather than perfection. Sophia called the performance magical and unforgettable, while Melby described it as one of the purest musical experiences she had ever witnessed. Their compliments only intensified the audience's emotional reaction, as everyone sensed history unfolding before their eyes. Even longtime production crew members backstage exchanged emotional glances, recognizing that this performance would be remembered for years to come. Just as Simon finished expressing his admiration, an unexpected pause filled the theater. He looked toward the glowing golden buzzer, positioned proudly in front of him. The audience immediately realized what might happen and collectively held their breath. Simon reflected briefly on Gary's extraordinary journey, explaining that true legends continue inspiring others because they never stop believing in the power of their gift. He described Gary's audition as a masterclass in emotional storytelling, humility, and world-class musicianship. Without another word, Simon reached forward and firmly pressed the golden buzzer. Instantly, brilliant golden confetti erupted high above the stage, showering Gary in thousands of shimmering pieces that sparkled beneath the dazzling theater lights. The audience erupted into deafening celebration as music filled the auditorium and cameras captured unforgettable reactions from every direction. Gary stood frozen in disbelief before covering his face with both hands, overcome by emotion. Tears streamed down his cheeks as he slowly knelt on the stage, overwhelmed by gratitude. Terry Crews rushed onto the stage to embrace Gary warmly, while the judges joined the celebration with heartfelt hugs and congratulations. The golden confetti continued falling like rain as audience members cheered louder than ever before. Families embraced one another, strangers celebrated together, and countless people recorded the magical moment on their phones. It was more than a competition achievement. It became a celebration of perseverance, faith, humility, and lifelong dedication to excellence. Gary repeatedly thanked everyone, insisting the honor belonged to every dreamer who refused to stop believing regardless of age or circumstance.